Shalom and welcome to Walking the Walk, a linguistic analysis of the terms in Psalm 119. Today we will discuss the word that is translated as precepts. The Colonel says you can't understand Hebrew unless you know what it says. Hebrew is constructed in such a way that words with similar letters have related meanings. By examining the related roots of each word, we come to a better understanding of what Hebrew words mean. The word pikudim, which is Strong's number 6490, is always translated as precepts in the plural in the King James. It has an idea of a precept, a commandment, or a statute. It is only used in this particular form of this word in Psalms, and here is a list of verses in Psalm 119 that it appears. A precept in English is not a word that we use very often. It comes from the literal idea of taking something beforehand. So it is a rule or an order, a command, or a general principle of action. But the idea behind it is that it is a foundational rule, something that came before we actually acted out. There are a lot of other words that are related to this root, but pikudim, as it appears here, always appears in the plural. There's no singular for it. Psalm 19:8. The statutes of Yahweh are right, rejoicing the heart. The commandment of Yahweh is pure, enlightening the eyes. Psalm 111:7. The works of his hands are verity and judgment. All his commandments are sure. The word pikudim comes from a root pakad, which is translated to visit, to attend to, punish, or appoint. The idea is that Yahweh is coming, and when he comes to visit, some action will be taken. Genesis 21:1. And Yahweh visited Sarah as he had said, and Yahweh did unto Sarah as he had spoken. In other words, she conceived and she had a baby. Genesis 50:25. And Joseph took an oath of the children of Israel, saying, God will surely visit you, and ye shall carry up my bones from hence. Joseph is speaking prophetically. No one knew that the people would go into slavery and would cry out to leave Mitzrayim, to leave Egypt. But in fact, that is what happened. Joseph knew that they would have to go back to the land. That was a promise that was made to his father and his grandfather and his great-grandfather, that they would dwell in the land. And so he says, when God comes to visit you, to bring you out of this land. Exodus 20:5. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, Yahweh thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me. If the people are in iniquity and Yahweh comes to visit, they will be punished. Genesis 41:34. Let Pharaoh do this, and let him appoint officers over the land, and take up the fifth part of the land of Egypt in the 7 plenteous years. This is Joseph's recommendation to Pharaoh for how to deal with the coming famine. They're going to collect the food during the good years. And Pharaoh is going to look over, he's going to visit the people who are eligible, and then he will invest a charge in them to be the officers over this process of collecting the food and later distributing the food. Numbers 3:10. And thou shalt appoint Aaron and his sons, and they shall wait on their priest's office, and the stranger that cometh nigh shall be put to death. Again, Aaron and his sons are receiving the charge. They have been invested with the trust of being the priests over the people of Israel. Isaiah 26:21. For behold, Yahweh cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. Again, the idea that people are in iniquity. When Yahweh comes to visit them, he's going to see that, and he's going to punish them. Jeremiah 21:14. But I will punish you according to the fruit of your doings, saith Yahweh, and I will kindle a fire in the forest thereof, and it shall devour all things round about it. Genesis 40:4. The captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continued a season in ward. This is when Joseph is in jail, and he receives that appointment to be in charge over the other prisoners. 2 Chronicles 34:10, and they put it in the hand of the workmen that had the oversight of the house of Yahweh, and they gave it to the workmen that wrought in the house of Yahweh to repair and amend the house. Again, this idea of somebody being appointed to a position of ruling, or a position of command. The most common translation for pakad is to be numbered, in the idea of to take a census. We imagine that if a general comes to inspect his troops, he's going to want to number them to get an idea of, what kind of shape they're in, how many there are. Exodus 30:14. Every one that passeth among them that are numbered, from 20 years old and above, shall give an offering to Yahweh. This is about the half-shekel tax. In Judges 21:3, and said, O Yahweh God of Israel, why is this come to pass in Israel, that there should be today one tribe lacking in Israel? This is the story of where a very evil thing had been done in Benjamin, and the whole rest of Israel rises up to fight against him. And then the people swear an oath they're not going to give their daughters to marry in Benjamin. And then they have remorse that there is a tribe lacking. So the idea is that the people are out counting, here are the tribes, and now there's a tribe missing. So it also comes from the idea of numbering the tribes. Leviticus 5:23, this is a verse in the Tanakh, in the Hebrew Tanakh. In King James you'll find it in 6:4. Then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away, or the thing which he hath deceitfully gotten, or that which was delivered him to keep, or the lost thing which he found. Again, the idea of investing a charge, giving a trust, giving a responsibility. This word pakad has this meaning in this verse, that thing that was delivered to him to keep. He had a charge over that thing. This is the word pakad. Another related word with the same root is mifkad. We have talked about the mem prefix making a noun out of a verb, and this is translated as either a commandment or a specified place. Mifaked in modern Hebrew is a commander, maybe even in the police force. So it's the same root. The idea is the person has received a charge. In this case, the place has received a charge for a specified purpose. 2 Chronicles 31:13. And Yechiel, and Azaziah, and Nachat, and Asael, and Yerimot, and Yozavad, and Eliel, and Yismachiah, and Machat, and Baniah were overseers under the hand of Conaniah and Shemi his brother, at the commandment of Hezekiah the king, and Azariah the ruler of the house of God. So Hezekiah made a commandment, he made an appointment, he invested these people with a charge of what they're supposed to do. They're going to be overseers. Ezekiel 43:21, thou shalt take the bullock also of the sin offering, and he shall burn it in the appointed place of the house without the sanctuary. It's a unique use of this word mifkad, to be an appointed place. Another word which uses this root is pekudah, and you can see that it's a feminine noun. It also means oversight, custody. It has all the same meanings. It refers more to the abstract idea of the office or the visitation, as opposed to pikudim, which refers to the precepts, the things that are given to give charge over us. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but I wanted to show you this verse, 2 Chronicles 23:18. Also Jehoiada appointed the offices of the house of Yahweh by the hand of the priests, the Levites, whom David had distributed in the house of Yahweh, to offer the burnt offerings of Yahweh, as it is written in the law of Moses, with rejoicing and with singing, as it was ordained by David. The plural of this feminine noun pikudah is pikudot, and I have put that Hebrew in this slide for you so you can see. So pikudim is different than the office. It carries that masculine plural, pikudim, it's always in the plural, whereas this pikudah can appear in the singular, and when it goes to the plural, it's pikudot. So it's clearly something different than the precepts. This is the idea of the office, or the counting, or the measuring, whereas pikudim are the precepts, the commandments. We're going to look at one cognate root today, and that is payad. The k and the y are both sounds that appear in the back of your throat. Payad is only used a few times, and it's used as a noun, which is actually pronounced pid, and it means destruction. We have talked about when Yahweh shows up, there's going to be some consequence or some action taken. So that's how it's related to the root. Job 31:29, if I rejoiced at the destruction of him that hated me, or lifted up myself when evil found him. Proverbs 24:22, for their calamity shall rise suddenly, and who knoweth the ruin of them both? What do precepts mean in the spiritual life of a believer? Yahweh has visited us with his instructions. In a one-time event in all of history, the God of the universe descended to Mount Sinai to give the people there his instructions. The people were afraid. They said, oh, Moses, you go. This is too much for us. A second time, he came in the form of a man as Yeshua, the Son of God, to teach us again, what does it mean to live a Torah life? He came to interpret those instructions for us and to live that life. We must remember that Yeshua, Jesus, was a Torah-observant Jew. Yahweh has appointed us as keepers of his word and has given us a charge, a responsibility. He has invested his purposes in us. His purpose is for us to be a light to the world, to live the kind of life that he ordained for us to live. And it's not that we keep these commandments by our strong right arm or by our own will, but because when we become believers, he has promised that he would write the Torah on our hearts, and we are working out our salvation from the inside, from our heart, from our spirit, out to our outer man. Yeshua said, if you love me, you will keep my commandments, and he is the author of all those commandments and statutes. So this is our charge in this world. This is our responsibility, to keep these precepts in front of the world. We are numbered among his children. We are adopted into his house, and he knows every hair on our head. We may be rewarded or punished depending upon what we do with this charge. I'm sure we've all had the experience walking this walk of either receiving blessings or cursings for what we have done according to how we are measured by Torah. And also in a reversal, we not only keep the precepts, but the precepts keep us. The instructions of Yahweh have a charge over us, and this is a very important biblical idea. Leviticus 18:5, ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am Yahweh. Deuteronomy 4:1, now therefore hearken, O Israel, unto the statutes and unto the judgments which I teach you, for to do them, that ye may live, and go in and possess the land which Yahweh God of your fathers giveth you. Matthew 19:17, when Yeshua is talking to the rich young ruler, he says, and he said unto him, why callest thou me good? There is none good but one, that is God. But if thou wilt enter into life, keep the commandments. In Galatians 3:12, citing the Leviticus passage, and the law is not of faith, but the man that doeth them shall live in them. There's a song which begins, Ki Eshmereh Shabbat El Yishmereni. Because I keep Sabbath, God will keep me. I'm sure there are other inferences that you can draw about precepts from these related roots. In the meantime, Tasimata Inayim al Hashemayim. Keep your eye on the sky, your redemption draweth nigh. Shalom.